Well, I finally went outside of the house for once and did my fair share of community service spreading awareness about the upcoming eShop closure. And afterwards I felt like rewarding myself with an eShop voucher, which should still work on 3DS and Wii U. Let's redeem it! Fantastic, I can't do that either. First the credit cards, now the vouchers? They really are serious about this closure, aren't they? But it's a good thing I got my funds merged with my Switch, cause that's always a sensible idea. Okay, the code should now be entered in and... Oh, come on!
Dr. Mario Miracle Cure. It's honestly surprising that it took this long to finally talk about this game, but essentially Miracle Cure is your all-in-one package of Dr. Mario. The simplistic Tetris-like puzzle gameplay is great as always, even having titular Miracle Cures that do all kinds of things to get rid of the viruses. The game even has Dr. Luigi's take on the formula with pill-shaped as L's and Virus Buster for brain training. With all those co-op, online, and unique challenges, Miracle Cure is the best way of experiencing Dr. Mario, and made even better that it's portable. Just don't let it perform serious surgeries. 2048. I'm pretty sure I only really knew about this game's existence after watching that KK Clue video, but essentially it's a sliding tile number puzzle game. You know, the one with clones flooding app stores everywhere. The game is surprisingly addicting, and a great way to waste time. It even has achievements, a banger of a soundtrack, and takes use of the 3DS's two screens wonderfully, each having a different perspective of the grid, and it's all $119. For something priced that low, it's a no-brainer to pick this up. Fun Minigolf TOUCH, a handheld port to the original WiiWare title. This is a nice small game of minigolf made by Shinen. The controls are great whether using buttons or titular touch controls, and the stages have a nice variety in design, seeing as it is based off minigolf at the end of the day. There's a surprising amount of holes to check out too with neat unlockables, and you can even use your Mii as a character. Ah! It's hideous! Kill it! Kill it with fire! But the best part comes at its price for $250. It may not be the best golf game of all time, but it's definitely one to try out for its low price. Kid Tripp. This game is an Auto 2D side-scroller based on the heyday of video games, and as you can see, I'm not very good at it. As I just briefly implied, the character runs on his own, but you can make him jump or slow down. This is a great budget title to take out every once in a while, offers a surprising challenge, and is preserved on pretty much every major console, and the PS Vita of all platforms. From one retro-style game to another, Mighty Gunvolt. This one's made by the talented indie creates. This game is a spin-off to the Outer Strike Gunvolt games, and has the aesthetics to that of the Game Boy Color title. You can play as 3 characters, each from different series, where you gun down robots, cheat your way through to the end, and bring back all the love in the world. When did this game suddenly turn into Whisper of the Heart? You can beat the game with all 3 characters in 2.5 hours, but it's worth checking out, even for Gunvolt fans. The game's on Steam everywhere, and PS4 / Vita Japan only, but does have a sequel on Switch, PS4, Steam, and even on 3DS too. Mighty Gunvolt may be short, but it's pretty sweet. Pokémon Bank and Poké Transporter. These applications essentially work like OneDrive for your Pokémon games, as given how notoriously limited storage is for all the creatures you catch in them. Bank gives far more room to store your Pokémon, whether in X and Y, the Gen 3 remakes, or Sun and Moon, and even the Virtual Console games in Black and White. You can finally catch them all again, and link up Bank with Home on the Switch to bring them to the newer games, especially with Scarlet and Violet coming out soon. In the same year as another mainline Pokemon game. Hello, you reached the Pokemon Company.
Stop!
Right now it's a paid subscription service, but once the eShop closes, it'll all be free. But even when it bites the dust, all games, even free ones, will be taken off. You can only re-download games. In conclusion, Pokémon Bank and Transporter aren't the dumbest ideas for subscription models, but at least they're better than Apple TV Plus. Over on the Wii U, when it comes to DLC, there is a good amount on its eShop, and some I want to recommend before it closes, those being the DLC for Sonic Lost World and Xenoblade Chronicles X. They're all funnily enough free, with Sonic having exclusive stages based off Yoshi's Island and Zelda. Though it's been recently modded to PC, these are worth picking up officially before it closes to preserve a weird piece of video game history. While Xenoblade X, on the other hand, has DLC that speeds up the game's load times for the disc copy. With Xenoblade 3 just out, it's becoming less likely for X to come over on Switch by the day. So it's worth getting, otherwise future generations will have a lesser experience. on to some old games. 3D Classics Kirby's Adventure. The original NES game is pretty impressive, putting the console to its absolute limits, seeing as it was a late release after all. However, when there's too much going on screen, the game performs worse than that new Buzz Lightyear movie. And need I mention the flickering? That's where the 3D Classics release comes in, where Recca made the game a much smoother experience with no slowdown in sight. Although the 3D effect is pretty lame adjusting the background saturation and nothing more, but for a stable framerate and more consistent presentation, it's easily the definitive version. But the Kirby games on the Game Boy Virtual Console are also worth picking up too. The Mysterious Murasame Castle. This is an interesting one as the 3DS was the only console to have this game. It's not on Wii U, Switch Online, or even back on the eShop, and even more so that it was a Japan exclusive. This game is essentially the sister game of the original Legend of Zelda, sharing the same game engine. It's more arcade-like and really fun to put on from time to time, and I could just listen to that theme all day. When playing this, it makes sense as to why it's been referenced in so many Nintendo games like Nintendo Land, Smash, and Mario Maker 2 of all games. With those, this is probably one of my favorite NES games. Summer Carnival 92 Recca, another Japan exclusive that only released on 3DS for some reason. This game was released way late into the Famicom's lifespan in 1992. And gee, did they push the limits with this game. The graphics are stunning and can even look like an early Super Nintendo game at times. The soundtrack is awesome, and as for gameplay, man, I really suck at this game. It's brutally difficult, yes, but what NES/Famicom game isn't? And for its obscurity and being a good shoot 'em up in general, it's worth picking up, seeing as it's one of those games on eBay. Metroid Prime Blast Ball. Originally this game was revealed during the 2015 Nintendo World Championships to initially tease Federation Force, which delighted many fans and was released onto the eShop as a free-to-play title a couple of months before Federation Force came out to help promote the game. This is basically football with a bunch of Halo rejects as the players. Not a lot to say about this game, it lacks online play, even though it had it for the first few months. It is preserved in Federation Force as a side game, but who in 2022 is willing to play Federation Force? It's no Rocket League or Speedball, but at least it's free to play. The Picross games. Now I don't know about you, but I'm a bit of a Picross nut, and for those unaware, Picross is basically logic puzzles where you fill in squares in certain rows and columns to reveal a hidden picture. These games offer a nice amount of content, surprisingly great music, some good head scratchers here and there, harder puzzles with Mega Picross, and even later games offering bonus puzzles if you have save data for other games. There's like 8 of them. My Nintendo Picross Twilight Princess. Now Twilight Princess is a pretty cool game, and back when My Nintendo first launched in 2016, and the HD remake of said game around the same time, this was one of the first rewards offered to members for 1,000 platinum points. You can still get this game as we speak. This is basically more Picross but with Twilight Princess characters and items. It's short, yes, but a really cool reward for playing Nintendo's mediocre mobile games. I can also recommend Mario's Picross on Virtual Console.
Man, there really were a lot of these Picross games on 3DS eShop, weren't there? So much so that I can't really cover all of them. Now I believe there were a couple of Japan-only Club Nintendo ones, a Final Fantasy one, again Japan-only, and even a Sanrio Hello Kitty one, which I'm honestly not gonna bother with the latter, as I already had to give Sanrio my money once just for these stupid cards just so some random fanboy couldn't grab their hands on them, and I'm not in the mood to doing that again. And now, let's move on to our next game, Pokémon Picross.
This game was actually my first exposure to Picross, mainly as it's free to play, and boy does it feel like one. It's just like Picross before, but with Pokemon characters, and when you nab them, you can use them to help you with puzzles, whether freezing time, giving hints, or revealing parts of the puzzle. But in its free-to-play nature, it has an energy gauge for filling in the puzzles. And it gets better. You need to pay pick credits to progress the game and eventually get rid of the energy gauge, and the best part? You barely get any! Even when you perfect the stage's pretentious missions, you get like 6 at most, which means you either grind the training stages every day like my teeth when discovering this gameplay loop, or you give up your integrity. The game is still a good 7 out of 10 despite these, but it honestly would be more at home on mobile devices rather than the 3DS.
And with that, Pokémon Picross is the 3DS equivalent of Candy Crush, and you'd think I'd be just about done for now. But you're wrong. Because I forgot about the best 3DS eShop game of all, It's Japanese Real Sim 3D 5 types of trains!
This, alongside others in the series, are simulators for many trains, whether monorails, classic steam trains, and many others, to travel across multiple areas of Japan. For this, the game uses full motion video for the scenery outside the train, and train controls on the touchscreen. But here's a catch. The video quality is beyond compressed. Either that or the camera lens and train windows were dirtier than my mind whenever I think of these two together. But when you get used to the 2007 YouTube video quality, it does the job and proved popular enough in Japan to have physical releases, a Thomas the Tank Engine version because why not, and Journey to Kyoto even having a Switch, PS4, and Steam port. For full price. Another simulator series from the same devs, I am an air traffic controller airport hero, and I had to say, the graphics look pretty good for a 3DS eShop game, and as for the games themselves,
I gotta say, it's the very least more entertaining than that Gamescom opening night showcase.
this is all you do in these games. But then again, what did I expect from something called I am an air traffic controller? It's an air traffic control simulator where you guide planes where they land, take off, taxi, and park. It once again works, but I'm just not their target audience. Where these games were probably made more for people interested in those looking into these careers in mind rather than average consumers. Then have I got the airport game just for you. This game is a part of Level 5's Guild series for the eShop, where it gave iconic developers freedom to make any game they want, with Aero Porter being developed by Vivarium of Sin Tower and Seaman fame. This game has you sort out luggage on conveyors by matching the luggage and carousel's colors to fill a plane. And simple, gives a good time really making you think about which layer you should prioritize on. But when there's more going on, it can be hectic. Maybe too hectic given the game's nature. When you progress further, you can even customize your own plane and share via Street Pass. While stressful and overwhelming later on, it's a neat puzzle game worth checking out.
I swear there are as many airport games on the 3DS eShop as there are jokes about airline food. Now if you excuse me, I gotta go lay down for a while before I eventually turn mad and kill someone. Whoops!